Today's true story from the Bible comes from the book of Exodus. God's people were slaves in Egypt and needed to be rescued. Moses had now grown up, and God was about to use him in a great big way. God had a plan and shared it with Moses. Moses and his brother would go to the Pharaoh and demand that God's people be let go. Do you think the Pharaoh would listen to them? Moses and Aaron went to see the Pharaoh. They said, "Let God's people go." They waited for the Pharaoh to reply. He said, "No." Uh-oh, that did not work. But Aaron and Moses did not give up. Aaron hit the Nile River with his staff. All of the water turned to blood. The fish died and the water was super stinky. Hold your nose and say, "Ew." Then Aaron and Moses went back to ask the Pharaoh again. They said, "Let God's people go." But Pharaoh said, "No." Then God sent a plague of tons of frogs that covered the whole land. They were everywhere. They were inside, outside, and even in people's beds. What sound does a frog make? The Pharaoh said, "If you make the frogs go away, I will let God's people go." So God took the frogs away. But the Pharaoh changed his mind. He did not let God's people go. So God sent millions of tiny flying bugs. The bugs were everywhere. They covered the people and the animals. Moses and Aaron went back to the Pharaoh and said, "Let God's people go." What do you think he said? Pharaoh said, "No." God sent even more plagues. These bad things only affected the Egyptians and not God's people, the Israelites. Still, Pharaoh refused. He would not budge. The last plague would be the worst of all. Every firstborn animal and child of the Egyptians would die. God made sure the Israelites were safe and instructed them to put the blood of the lamb around the doorpost of their homes. He protected them. After this happened, Moses and Aaron went back again to see the Pharaoh. They said, "Let God's people go." This time, the Pharaoh had a different answer. He said, "Get out. Take all of your people and all of your things and leave." Finally, God's people were free. God is always in control.